Alright everybody, this is Peter from Anime Review, and today we're going to be doing a review on High School DxD and its second season. For this review, I'm going to show some gameplay of Diablo 3. I feel this is pretty adequate with what High School DxD is all about. Demons, angels, supernatural powers, and basically just a bunch of power goings everywhere. I know the gameplay may not look the best, but it looks pretty decent, so... And also for my mic, it's not the best, but I'll try to speak clearly as possible so you guys can get the best quality out of it. So yes, before I forget, this review will have spoilers, so for any of you who do not want to see it, or hear it I should say, then you can just click off the video or turn off the volume and just watch the gameplay, and vice versa. If you don't want to see the gameplay and just hear the audio, then just minimize it and do something else. Alright, for this review, I'm going to be categorizing this show into 4 categories: animation, music, characters, and story. Let me start off with the easiest one, the animation. Animation wasn't the best, but it wasn't the worst. It was just standard for anime. It was good. For music, there really wasn't too much I enjoyed. It was just, I don't know, I didn't enjoy the music. It was meh. Characters, they were everywhere. But I'll get into characters in a little bit. Let me just go on to the story. Alright. The story wasn't the best, but it wasn't the worst. It was unique in its way, but overall, it has elements from other shows that I've seen. But I'll get into what details I liked about the show. The story is about a guy named Issei. He's just your every regular day guy. He meets this beautiful girl. She asks him out on a date. They go out. But then, after a day, this one day, they eventually go to this fountain. And what happens next is that she's gonna tell him something, but Issei doesn't know what it is. But then, to Issei's belief, he actually gets stabbed, which was I don't know how I felt about it, just because the main character dies at the beginning, or more like in the first episode. To counter this, at the beginning of the story, there's this girl that appears in his dream. She appears before him, and then she turns him into a demon. And then from this point on, our story is about seeing the life of a demon through Issei's eyes. So let me just get some of the few obvious things out of the way first. First, it was a harem, and it's also an ichi. And just, yes, they show breasts in this, so if you're not too big on breasts, and I'm letting you know, it has it just so you can be prepared for it. Now I would just like to talk about 4 points that I felt were strong in this show. Negativity, I really didn't see anything rather than just the usual elements. I feel that's what brought it down. First, I would like to start off with, let me just talk about the characters, because I feel that's something important since this is a harem. And also, Issei, he's not your average guy. So yes, he is actually a regular guy, but what makes him different right from the get-go, he's a super perv, but he's also a hard worker, determined, kind, and considerate. In most animes, you don't find this type of guy. You do, but not like Issei. He's different in ways, just because his character can go from nice to really perv like in a matter of seconds. And then again, he can switch back to regular right away. So that's what I really liked about him. He's all over the place, which is a good thing in my opinion, because most guys try to have one characteristic, but Issei, I like how he has multiple characteristics. What I think made the show also stand out was the powers. In most shows, you see guys have like weapons, guns, swords, but in this one, how it works is Issei has a power hidden within him, which he can draw it out with his emotions. At first, he can't do it because he didn't know what to do, but as the story progresses, he eventually finds out that by using his emotions, it can depend on his power. Also, his power is different than anything in the show, because his power can give him a boost every 10 seconds or something, and it doubles it. But also, one thing I would like to note about that is during the second half, they do something particular with his power. Or not with his power, but more with an opposite power, contrary to his. The way he went in the second season with the boss, because the guy, his power is the opposite of Issei. He makes his enemies lose power every 10 seconds while he gains it. And so the Archangel from this plot helps Issei by telling that this guy's going to turn red as his breastbone. And knowing Issei, he's a real pervert, he basically gets mad. And so what this does, his emotions go into the armor and gives him a tremendous power boost, which lets him overcome the odds. Since this is a harem, I would like to particularly talk about the girls, because the girls, if you want to notice, most animes have, cute looking girls with pretty much the same variation in their characters. for pretty much from kind to considerate and all that. But this one, they're more all over the place. You got your cute girls, you got your strong girls, you got your sundares, you got your sadists, you got your clueless. Just pretty much, this has something for everyone. Also, I would like to add a note to this, how the characters do get development in this. In the first season, it's more of Issei and how he grows as a person, or more of a person rather than a demon. The second season, it focuses on Kiba is one of Issei's acquaintances who is a male. But what's different about him, he's the cool-looking guy, so Issei envies him. He's basically this guy that every girl wants to date. But in the second season, we get to know more about his past, and it's actually rather dark for how the series is being really funny. So I'll get to why the show is funny in a moment. But as I was saying about Kiba, he starts out that he was a test subject for what are known as the holy weapons, or holy swords, Excalibur. They're basically the sword from Legends of England. He was a test subject, and basically he's gone through hell so the church can get power for their own ambitions, basically. And we know that Kiba wants to get revenge because he lost some dear friends to him that were also has experience in this. And we also get to see another side of Kenna, who she can be really sad, considering she's pretty much happy just giving pain to anyone. So we get to learn that she is actually the daughter of a fallen angel turned into a demon. Her mother was protecting her, but she really didn't like fallen angels because she thought she was disgusting for being something like that. But knowing Issei, he basically helped her get through all that, knowing that she's accepted by everyone, doesn't matter who she is. Let me just talk about the comedy, because there's two things I like to categorize comedy as. One, character situations, which is what position the characters are put in rather than what they say, which are jokes. The jokes I know can be hard to translate from Japanese to English, considering they have to say a certain amount of things in the number of flaps the characters are doing. So it's just easier to make the characters be in certain situations. I feel Funimation did a really good job at dubbing the show more with English slang rather than Japanese jokes. So I was able to understand what they were saying, and it's just the stuff they said in the situations just made it that much funnier. Well, the thing that I made this show work was the fun factor. It was just fun to watch. Even though if for a generic show that has all this basically superpowers, harems, ichis, all that, it's just a fun factor was there. Now I'd like to talk about the elements, because I feel this was another strong point that made the show work. First of all, it's got demons, angels, and fallen angels, which are biblical things. And most animes don't like touching on that just because they can have the Vatican down their throat. But I feel the show did a good job at explaining it without really hurting too much of the backstory from the Bible. First and foremost, I would like to say that the demons and angels and fallen angels, their characteristics, or more like personalities, are all over the place. Demons aren't necessarily bad, but they're not necessarily good either. Same thing with the angels and the fallen angels, considering also their factions. The show does a good job at using its elements properly, especially with the use of one of the characters. Her name is Aisha because she's originally a nun from the church, or more like she was killed by fallen angels because they wanted her ability. And this ability affected her in the past because it traumatized her, seeing that the church saw her as a heretic. And basically nowadays, if people are being healed by people who aren't preachers or someone of that high nature within an organization, they can see them as a heretic. But Aisha, she still believes in God even though she's a demon, in which she prays to God, she gets headaches, which I thought was genius because you wouldn't see devils praying. That's something I felt was done good. And as for the religion aspects, yeah, they throw other religions in, but I feel they're not given the spotlight they deserve because it's mainly a Christianity-based religion. Also, let me just talk a little bit about the religion in this. Satan and God, they both died during their great war between the three factions. So who takes over is Rias' brother, who's Sir Xerxes, who's given the title Satan, and then Michael, the archangel from the biblical story. He's now the higher up of the angels, or more of the heavens, I should say. And so really, the one thing I feel they got wrong was dragon aspects, because they're saying there's dragons more powerful than God himself, and the red dragon, which is what is the show supposed to stand for, DxD, is actually the devil himself in the story. The Bible talks about the great red one, which is actually the devil turned into a dragon. I felt they could have worked that out a little bit just for people who have read passages from the Bible or something, just to get that corrected. I feel this show deserves a third season because it's an adapted material. It comes from a light novel, so they have something to work off of. But I've read some of the material and I see where they can go, and I'll show you right now. Basically, it's about Issei fighting off the other faction, and we see his life as a demon. So really, off of that, all they can really do is just surprise us because I can't read the light novels. I can't find nowhere to read them, so all I can really do is just read manga, basically make more anime adaptations of the light novel so we can infer what else happens. Alright, now I would just like to talk about the rating because I'm not really a rating person. I'm more of how the show made me feel. I'm just going to throw out the number out there, 7.5. I got no numbers to base it off of. That's just what I felt it deserves, only because even though it has its own elements, but it's not an original story per se. So how the show made me feel, I felt it made me feel pretty good. It was just made me feel good. I like the elements, I like the comedy, I like the characters. Basically, the shonen elements in the show I felt were the things that brought it down, such as the ecchi, the supernatural, the harem, those type of genres. I felt those are what brought down the show. If you enjoyed today's video, then like, comment, and subscribe.